Hi, my name is Naeem. I'm an art director and production designer working in both the film and games industries. I currently work at Riot Games as an art director, and we'll be taking a look at how to make this, so let's get started. I have broken this up into 4 chapters, and I've named this the Valkyrie 2 RTX bot, and the 4 chapters will include the following subjects. Right off the bat, it's of course introductions. Then I will show you my reference, which is my robot that I designed in Photoshop. Really quick photo bashing. And then we'll go right into 3D sketching. I highly suggest having some sort of idea coming in from 2D into 3D, but I really like, as a concept artist, the way we can utilize Blender and grease pencil and really sketch out ideas even if you don't have a prior concept. Then in chapter 2 we'll discuss a lot of the cloth simming tools. There's a really great plugin that I enjoy called Simply Cloth. You can of course do all of this without that plugin, but I'll be demonstrating how to use that plugin or add-on I should say. Then we'll be looking at the cloth brush, which is free and comes with Blender, and it's really quite nice to add some really a lot of details that you would normally have to sculpt in. And finally, we'll just take a quick look at sculpting some additional details on top of the collapsed mesh that is, it's got all the simmed stuff that looks quite natural. After that, in chapter 3, we'll be taking a quick look at texturing, lighting, and a rendering setup. And finally, in chapter 4, generating a final frame, which is what you see here in the background, and on top of that, animating a basic move of the robot. I'll go into a little bit about hierarchies and how to set up the robot if you decide to create this exact design or something of of your own design. I'd highly encourage you to do something of your own just for this exercise, because I don't go quite literally into making every single piece, and it's a little open-ended, but I'd still love to see what you guys create. And let's jump right in. So I began this in grease pencil, which I believe to be the best tool in Blender that is highly underrated for 3D modeling and sketching and laying out ideas. This was the initial sketch that I did, and then I cleaned it up and just copied and pasted it a few times and made some variants for myself. So I've put this in orthographic mode. You can see it's really quite efficient, and you don't actually need to create all these volumes like I did. I went a little overboard. You could technically just create a front view, and that alone may be enough for you to get just the volume and design in place so you can actually inform the 3D modeling process. So let's jump right in. I will make a new collection, and I will turn these off and go into 3D cursor, control right click, make sure it's on origin, shift A, insert a cube. I always insert a cube because it's around 6 feet tall, 1.8 meters or so, 2 meters, somewhere there. So that way I have my scale so I don't design too big. As you can see, my mechs were way too large. So let's just sketch in scale. Shift A, grease pencil, stroke, and I will just make this, just move this out of the way, and then go here, go into front view, go to control edit, and I will just delete all of this, press X, then go to control space, and draw, and then I want to make sure that this is set to origin, because it's not world origin, but it's the origin of the object. So then you want to go here and set this to view or some of these other views. I will turn guides off for now. So let's do that, and that should be enough. You don't want this set to surface because it will just draw on the cube at that point. And I'm just going to lay out a simple sketch here as much as I can. So we have arms and a rectangular shape here, cylindrical and cylindrical. So let's I selected the pencil tool from here. So if you press N, this comes up, this toolbar. Make sure you're under tool, and you can go here, and I lay out this so you have lines and colors. I'll just make my own layer, lock this, and shut this down just so we're creating something on a completely clean layer in case there's something on there. So I'm going to simply block this in. There's a circle here, you know, just going to sketch starting from here, from the face essentially. So we have this, and this is just a rough sketch layer, so please just sketch quickly. And you can already see this already would have taken quite some time. So we have some sort of square here, and something that I've inserted here that in 3/4 view it's got, looks like it's actually not 4 of them but rather 2. So I will do that, and then so that's our rotating bit there. It's a small cylinder that we have. Cool. Then we have this, and this. Great. And I'm going to separate this. Go to separate. Or actually, you know what? Control space, edit. I'm just going to split and then Control C, X, put it on its own layer, and call this arms. That way, if we want to edit this later, we can do so. This is the head. So this is right on the center line here somewhere. And okay, so now let's just quickly lay in our control space, draw, go back here, and I'm just going to, I can duplicate this on mirror it on the side, but just at the moment I'm just focusing quickly on proportion here. So this comes off somewhere here, then we have, actually I will go now into control space, into object mode, shift X, and live mirror, no, shift X, X, there we go. So now this is mirrored over. We can adjust this if we like. See how far we want to take it. Perhaps we just want to take this bit here and bring it out. Go back into control space, draw, and simply begin drawing our rectangular body shape here. So I'll lock this in case, just so I don't start sketching on our arms layer. And then we have our great, and then I'll just make a legs layer. So I'm kind of trying to keep the mass the same. Let's see, I may have made this a bit too small here, which is, you can kind of see, I'll make the connection here a little bit bigger. You can see I'm not really getting into erasing or anything since these are scrap layers, and I'm just thickening the line, and that kind of just calls attention away from these other layers. So we have this, somewhere here, we have some sort of detail here. There we go. So when I first did this, and I recorded the tutorial, I didn't do this part, and my legs were colliding into my arm. And so then I figured out another joint system, and that's why I corrected and made this all one piece that could be rotated easily with an internal sort of organic joint. But in this case, I would probably just simply still like the legs coming out here, so there we go. And then we'll just take the cutter and cut this here and cut that. Great. So we have something like this. And let's take that. There we go. It's looking a little stumpy, I would say, like it looks squashed. So I think I went a little bit too far into squishing it down. But this already looks pretty good. I mean, this is really hard. Like, you could have spent an hour or two trying to just get these proportions down, and you have it so quickly. Grease pencil blows me away, quite honestly. And now, you know, we could go in and just quickly lay in a sort of a volume for this stuff. So let's just put the 3D cursor here, go to draw, then go to 3D cursor instead of origin, and view. So this should stick. So now I'll just have to get rid of this and set the 3D cursor back. So now GP edit, we'll go to draw again, and now it should stick right where on that plane where it already is. And we can simply set this to side YZ and just start, you know, blocking it in. So shift, right click, drag to, of course, oh, and this is side, so let's set this to top. There we go. And it's going to shift D, shift D, actually make this a little bit bigger, make this a little bit bigger, S, shift D, S, shift D, there we go. So draw, let's go here, lay in the cube that we have, something like that, and then I'll do it again here. I could copy it over, but the strokes will be connected, so it's easier for me to just simply draw it. There we go. So now let's go to side YZ. That's the YZ side. So we'll just draw a stroke straight down. I'll actually put this here on one of the corners. Just connect them, connect this, then go back into orthographic mode, then connect once again. And you get the idea. So we have something here. Now we'll just once again go here. And I forgot to set it to front again, so oops, sorry, top. So that it could get a little confusing, but if you learn to live with it, it's not that much of a hassle, especially if you're doing this in steps, so you're not, you know, hurrying this along too much, and you also have this planned out. It's still really quite helpful, in my opinion. And of course, if you stick to just one view, like in the top, and just make sure you lay the contours down, and you're not switching back and forth between all of them, then you should be okay. So let's go to Edit, SY, just kind of SY, move this all kind of in the same place. So just kind of want to line it up since it's kind of a bit janky. But of course, you know, this is just a guide, so you'll know that you're not going to, unless you want to, you know, add a bulge here or whatnot. But we already have something that's close enough to what we want. So I would say let's figure out how far this body bit goes here. So let's put our cursor at the origin, and then let's take our control space, draw, and let's just go to view here, and we'll put it right here so we know where the top of the line is. And then I'm just going to I'm just going to put this here so I know where it is in side view. And maybe so that's the bottom. We have our, so let's go to cutter. Just X this. Let's go back to draw. I made it a little too wide. So there we go. Great. And then, of course, you just take this, Shift D, move it here, and move this here, draw, there we go. Cool. So we have something that really resembles kind of what we're trying to do. And past this, I'll just go in and lay in some geometry instead of spending too much time on this. And we have a pretty good base. You know, the proportions are there. We have our like I can duplicate this at this point. Sorry, let me just make a new collection, put this in here, and I can duplicate this, press escape, move this to new collection, Grease 02. Okay, turn this off, make this unique, and Shift X again, and duplicate it on the X-axis. And now they're connected and they're not instancing the previous geometry that we had. And you simply go in and you have, you know, you can use the sculpting and unlock all these layers, of course, right? And right click, increase, and you can just adjust, just like using the liquify tool in Photoshop. You can kind of, using the push, twist, thickness, all this other stuff, grab, you can go ahead and modify your design. So, or you can simply go into edit mode and, you know, take this, do whatever you want, move it here, say, you know, it does this and then it does that. I'm not saying it does, but, you know, the world is your oyster, and it just depends on how deep you want to get into this. I feel like this is enough to get the point across, so I can jump right into the next phase.